G'day fellas, welcome commanders. Today we're playing on Supreme Isthmus and I'm going to show you what I think is actually the best economy strategy or eco strategy that you can do, at least from this position here right now. And the reason why is because of the following. Front, it falls very often. We're putting out fires all the time, whether that's sea, whether that's front, whether that's other little things that are going on. So what if, instead of doing that, we started the fires instead? That's what this video is about. So there's going to be two components to this video. The first part is in this VOD that we're watching right now. This is actually a video that you and I are watching together. You can see we've got down the bottom the VLC thing. You can see it's quite a long video as well. The second part of this is going to be our replay. So we can actually dive in to this game at any point in time. This is synced up perfectly here with this, and we can go check on the enemy, see what they're doing. But the main reason I want to do this is just to focus and sort of show you exactly what's going to be happening here, because there's going to be quite a lot of, I guess the best way to say it is high octane active APM that you're going to need to do. We're going to be controlling a lot of units. The idea is quite simple, okay? When you're playing in the eco position, often you have to make a decision. Am I going to make units or am I going to scale? Okay, and the trouble that you have is if you make units, often that forgoes scaling. So my thinking is, what if we just made a really small amount of units and we're just very, very intentive or intentionally moving it always. So basically giving it full attention and making sure we got as much value out of it as we possibly can. That's the goal of this strategy. So we're, of course, still going to look to try and scale. We're still going to look to build APHIS, but the one key here is that we're going to look to try and just get a single unit out every now and then and just go and be real damn annoying with it. That's it. It seems like a simple idea, but you'll see it gets a little bit complicated. We'll also note that the blueprint is quite different here today. Part of the reason why is just because we're not focused on min-maxing our fastest T2 time and our fastest advanced metal extractor timing. The main thing we're looking for here is just making sure our economy is okay in the event that we're not really paying attention to our base. That's what we're thinking. So anyway, that's going to be it. Look, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a long video, so make sure you grab a drink. I've got a Red Bull with me ready to go. And yeah, it's going to be good fun. So our first attack, let's talk about it. We want to pull attention away from front. Now, how are we going to do that from the eco position? Well, we could send up some units, like we could send a couple ticks up to the front, try and get around the side, be sneaky, doing something like that, but it's not a real high chance of success. Now, in the early game, typically the air player has got a lot of orders to do. If we think about the air player, they're going to be doing things like making heavy transport, light transport, maybe a couple of scout planes for their allies. They're not going to be making fighters, and that's a really important thing, because what we're going to do is get out an early pawn. And we're going to go ahead, and we're going to grab that pawn, eventually, with our transport right here. We've got to tell our friend not to eat, because we're about to blow up in here, and I don't want him to lose his Lazarus right in here. So he's going to go and return out that way. So you can see we've got quite a little bit of macro that's going on at the moment. And we've gone and sent our transport off. He's heading off into the, onto the enemy side. Now, typically, what I want to be doing here is I want to be pulling units off the front, but I want to be attacking the geo. And I think that that's quite a difficult thing to do, because there's very much a balance that you need to strike. So we're going to be looking to land somewhere in between those two. At the same time, we're also going to be looking out for any potential ships that the enemy might have. We want to make sure that we avoid them. We also need a macro back at the base. So once again, we're going to be running along the edge here, and we're going to be hoping that there's not a lot of fighters out for the enemy, because if there are, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Behind this, you may have seen what we were making. We were making another unit. Before we made our T2 con, we're doing it. So this is my favorite spot to drop. We do this, we look to hit the mexes on the way in, and we try and get to the geo. That's the goal. We're also getting our T2 constructor out. You can see that right here. We've got quite a bit of metal in the bank, so we have to guard up with this specific construction turret just to make sure. We've also given a command back behind the scenes, so now we're going to be looking to take out these metal extractors here from the player on the front. So we've taken out 3 metal extractors so far from this player, and now we're going to look to try and hit the geo player. Now, by doing this, we're hitting at the perfect time. The geo player should have just blown his comp. There you go. Destroyed. Nicely timed. And should be looking to get his labs up. Now, we can see the T2 constructor. What does that mean? That means he's bought T2. That means he's trying to get his AMAXs up. That means he's probably not going to have a whole lot to defend here. So we're going to have an absolute field day. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, what are we doing? We're just having a good time. We're building our advanced metal extractors in our own base. That's it. We've kind of got everything just chilling out. Like if we go have a look back towards the base, because keep in mind, like we're microing at the moment. Oh, there we go. We're back towards the base. We've just got our platypus Let's switch over to the replay. We've got our platypus that's just chilling out at the moment. He's don't worry, he's going to come join as well. But we're getting quite a lot of value out of this single pawn. So we're going to continue just microing it, having a field day over here because this is massive, right? If we think about from the perspective of the enemy, what does he want to do? He wants to build all of his mexes as fast as he can. He wants to get his T2 lab up, and he wants to start making starlights in middle. That's pretty much it. Maybe starlights, maybe something else, but probably starlights. That's normally the go-to when you do this kind of strategy. I mean, you can play core, but yeah, really, I think starlights is the way to go. So now we see him putting down the vehicle lab, realizing help is not coming. Keep in mind the the air player for the enemy team is playing as arm. Because normally people will play arm because they want to scale wind, whereas people will play core if they want the shuriken. But I feel like core is always just better, and then just buy the arm T1 con. So we've got some units out now to try and contest us, and we're just going to be annoying. We're just going to be pesky, and you can see we've dropped our platypus here in the middle of the ocean, just so that if air does have fighters, we're going to be able to avoid them. So it allows our platypus a little bit of lead-in time, and here you can see we are getting chased down by the scouts, and unfortunately a single rocket gets walked into, and our pawn gets incredible value to start off with. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, we've gotten all three of our advanced metal extractors up. We're at 640 here, so it's a decent timing. We're handing off T2 to our allies. We've handed off one so far, I think. No, two. That's our second one that we're handing off right there. And this will be our third one that we've got. We've also got the fourth one in queue, so we are absolutely cooking behind the scenes. So it's as I said, like I would say with regard to this is a really hard thing to do because, and this is part of the reason why I could not at all record while I was, or talk while I was recording, just because there is so much going on right here to be able to snap back and forth. Incredibly difficult, but guess what? Round two, ladies and gentlemen, it is right here, right now. We're looking again, once again, for that very small investment, but at the same time, a huge amount of value. So we're going to come back and look to hit these mexes once again. Even if we don't take them out, or even if we leave the wreckages there like that, absolutely fine. It's going to require his res bots to come back, and that's essentially it. We know we're not going to be able to hit the geo player because he's going to have advanced metal extractors. So where do we go? We go over to the pond this time. And once again, we're going to be looking to try and cause some havoc. But of course, the moment you look away, you get yourself into a little bit of trouble. And that's part of the reason why this is quite difficult, because the second you look away back to your base, that's guaranteed when the enemy is going to come. So we managed to get that platypus, keep him alive here. We do have to be careful of the build power of the vehicle constructors. They can actually hurt us, but unfortunately we lose that platy as well. But guess what? He's not the only platy. We've managed to get 3 of our AMEXs up. The 4th one is coming up right now. We're handing off T2s to pretty much everybody here. I think that's the whole team that's done, or at least the positions that we need to. And now we're looking to get more platies out. So this is only at the 8-minute mark. Normally we'd be scaling wind here, but my philosophy here is, hey, let's get these units out quickly. Let's see what damage we can do, and maybe we can potentially swing a lane. If we look up towards the north at the moment, let's ride on board over on the replay and take a look and see what's happening. And you'll see that, unfortunately, our pink player, he's not doing particularly well here in the sea. So he needs a bit of assistance. At the same time, over towards the east side, the GOC naturally starts off a little bit slower, but does progressively get stronger as the game goes on. So if we can go and do a little bit of hurt over here, then we'll be absolutely A-okay. Let's check in with the enemy eco player. Let's get a bit of an idea on where we currently sit compared to him. Because keep in mind, he's just pretty much been scaling his economy. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 AMEXs up, and he's got his wins going. So he's definitely doing pretty well with regard to that. Looks like he's also handed off T2 to his allies. We see them walking out up towards the top side. No transporting just at the moment. With regard to our medal, so we're sitting at 12.2. He's sitting at 12.2 as well. So we are keeping up with him, despite the fact that we got these early little shenanigans in. So that's part of the reason why I think if we've got these really strong builds that are optimized, then we should be able to find these tiny little things that we can do where we can potentially eke out an annoying unit and then still maintain our min-max, our efficiency. So that's essentially it. Let's ride back on board with the POV though, and take a look at exactly what we are up to back here behind the scenes. So I think the game timers are synced up. What are we at? 9:38, and then we're a little bit faster. The video's a little bit faster here. We'll have to speed up the in-game timer again, but what we're doing at this stage, that's interesting. So the in-game timer's a little bit behind where our video is. Anyway, that's it's something we'll fix up. So now we're looking to scale our butlers as well. We've got our 10 platypus, 5 on the North Sea, 5 on the South Sea. Ideally, we want them to try and hit at the same time, but I've been having difficulty doing this. I think it probably just makes sense to get them going as soon as you can. And once again, we have drawn units from the enemy. However, fortunately, because we're playing with platypus, it does make it a little bit easier because we just go around the enemy. we just swim around them. And our goal here is to just try and behead the Hydra with, I don't know if that's the right term, but anyway, we don't want to attack them directly. We want to try and come behind. We want to be very annoying. We want to hit all of their mexes, kill their T2 if their T2 is there, which it should be, because their eco is, well, he's doing his thing back towards the other side of the map. And we're looking now to put down our blueprints. Now, I think we've issued a couple of commands over to our platties, and you can hear as soon as we get that attack message, we're checking, okay, what's going on? Why are we under attack here? It was because we blew up the mechs. So we blew up the mechs, and then it said, you're under attack, but it was just us blowing up the mechs. So we've killed this base completely. Now, that's about 40 metal per second that we've just denied from that Beach Sea player. And that means that you're not going to see things like a T2 as soon as you normally would. We've also delayed him from getting his T2 up on the islands. We've delayed the eco player because he's going to have to send a new T2 down, probably some butlers, maybe even a constructor. So we're being very, very annoying with this, getting big value from this. This is only 1,300 metal that we've invested in this attack, and the amount that we're denying from the enemy is incredible. Meanwhile, behind this, we're looking to continue scaling. We've taken out a couple of mexes down towards that south side. We're going to see if we can come in and snipe out the enemy Geo. Sometimes you can get a sneaky Geo snipe with these, but often they're paying pretty good attention. We can see enemy's 29 OS, so he definitely knows what he's doing here. He's got units together with some defenses coming up, and it naturally means that, well, we're not going to be able to do too much here. You can hear down towards the south, we've lost a unit, so we're going to come down there. Still quite a lot going on. Keep in mind behind this, we still have an economy that we need to manage. We have not been managing this last 30-40 seconds, because the reality is you only get these sort of one chance to attack, so you really got to make sure that your units count when they do. You can see we're looking to try and split off here, just get a bit annoying. We've got ourselves a decent little spot here. This should, as long as there's no commanders nearby, but I'm sure you can see what I see, we'll be okay. So we've got our Scarab, sorry, that's what they were called in TA. What are they called in Beyond All Reason? I'm alt-tabbing right now just to check what they're called. Umbrella. Apologies. Because I've seen so many comments saying you got to get the names right. Okay. So we've got the Umbrella coming in, so I'm a big fan of this. It comes in a bit earlier than your normal anti-nuke. We will get the normal anti-nuke in, but the goal, of course, is to eventually, or to start out with that, and then we'll move it off to cover the wins as well. So at this stage, our platties have died, but we got a huge amount of value from it. Let's ride back on board. What are we at? We're at 12:54 at the moment, so let's go in and check the game. So we're a little bit behind here, so let's just speed it up. We'll do a 20 seconds, somewhere in that region, probably about right now. So we've done massive damage, right? If we look at the GOC player, absolutely destroyed them just by doing a little bit. Now he's building he's building up his T1 or his mexes again, but he's starting with the T2. Big mistake, because now what we should be doing is ideally building it with a T1. Now, of course, he doesn't have a T1, but he should be asking for a T1 because we want to get those T1s up before we get those T2s. So that's the first thing. We're a bit annoying back here. A little bit of damage back here. Nothing too crazy. We have denied these mexes as well. As we can see, they're still just chilling out. It's going to take some time, and I think we denied this one as well. So once again, it's a classic case of, well, now it's not going to be gathering that metal. So I think we've done pretty decent considering the fact that we've been making units. So now we're going to look to reclaim our base. We're at the 13-minute mark, 14-minute mark-ish. Looking to reclaim our base. We got quite a bit of metal in the bank here. So we've gone into our first fusion, and the fact that it's almost finished and we've still got 3k means that we can probably bring these butlers to help out. I'm a big fan of doing this. It just makes a whole lot of sense. You don't really have a whole lot of BP in your base, at least initially. And if you do want to build it up, like if we think about it, this is 210 metal. If you want to build 10 of these, you're talking about 2,000 metal, which is half a fusion. So you're just better off of bringing these guys in, let them get the fusion up, and then once the fusion's up, they can go back to scale win. That's essentially it. And of course, if you accidentally bring them in, you can always send them off early. Just select them and hit the N key, which will give them their next order. And of course, that will send them back to their respective positions, or you can just look to reclaim things. Let's check in with the other eco player. Now that we've finished our second APHIS, or second fusion rather, we're sitting at 5.2, 5.28 energy, and he's on 4.1. So we're quite a bit ahead. And that's because, well, he's going for an anti-nuke, he's going for a tracer, and fortunately for us, we went for our umbrella up towards the top, and it means that we don't actually have to make that tracer, at least not yet. We will, of course, make one eventually. Another key difference here is he is scaling wins, but he's not doing it with as many butlers. He's only got a handful of butlers, and because of that, it will mean that we will be effectively outscaling him. Oh, we're overflowing metal, apparently. How are we? Oh, because we just got sent a whole bunch of metal. So you got sent a whole bunch of metal. What do? You bring all the butlers back. You say, hey, boys, come spend some metal for us. And that's what they're going to do here. So, yeah, we've just been overflowed a huge amount of metal. And our enemy is, the enemy eco is now going to start working on APHIS. So I still think this is a little bit too early. I mean, technically it's not, but he just doesn't have the build power for it. I'd be going one more fusion into this, just because when you're building an APHIS, you probably want double, maybe even triple the amount of build power that we've got here, just because it's so much slower. 6.2 metal going into these compared to here, where are you guys guarding? Yeah, there we go. Why can we not see the amount that they're putting in? What's going on here? So they're putting 4 in, or 7.9 when we're building the nanos. They'll be putting in more metal per here. Let's check these guys. Yeah, they're putting in 12. So you're talking about 12 metal that they're spending 6.2. So basically, you're effectively building a fusion with double the amount of nanos than you are with an APHIS. And of course, an APHIS also takes longer to build as well. But that's essentially the thinking. That's part of the reason why we like to do this, because it can still allow you to have that small number of constructors that are doing it. So we'll put up our anti-nuke now. We'll look to move our umbrella off. And of course, we've kept our commander here. He'll be coming up shortly as well. We will need him. Now, I will just say, we're 16 minutes into this game. There is suspicions that I may be cheating in this game. I'm just going to say that right now. We'll ride back on board and we'll see if we can quell those suspicions. Let's check back in with the, with the recording. Okay, we're at 16:32 and 16:30, yeah? So roughly about the same time. Okay, so here you can see we're giving off a couple of commands over towards the North Sea. We're just letting him know, like, hey, we need you to use the T2 constructor to build pit bulls because you've lost sea, and there's probably not much chance that you're getting back on it. Some nicely placed mines right here. These mines will come in important later on, I can tell you that much. It's a sad state of affairs. But essentially, our North Sea has lost, and we need to really contest this South Sea to make sure that we win that, because if we don't, it means that we're going to be exposed. We're going to be exposed to marauders, we're going to be exposed to titans, we're going to be exposed to flagships, we're going to be exposed to a lot of potential attacks that can come through that are really going to hurt us. Platies, salamanders, amphibious vehicles, turtles. I've seen those turtles sometimes. So we've got a couple platies back here, doing a bit of damage here. Now, I guess the funny thing, the ironic thing is the platies aren't the things that do the damage. You see those wasps right there? Watch what happens with these wasps. These wasps are, well, they hit very hard. They got a nice little bit of AoE. So, unfortunately, well, we don't get to see what happened. Well, there you go. Look, at the end of the day, they took out the platypus, so thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. But yes, wasps are notorious for their AoE. So we're looking to help out the team quite a bit more here. We're getting up our pinpointers now, so not a bad timing on this. 18 minutes for pinpointers. I think it's probably about the right timing. Normally, if you need them for specific units, like for Starlights, then it definitely makes sense to get them in a little bit sooner. And we're going to look to put down our first APHIS. So, of course, starting off with the core APHIS. So, big shout out to our ally here, Jackie Boy, who's just given us the T2. We didn't even have to ask him. He just handed it over. He knew what we were going to be up to. So, thank you very much, Jackie Boy. Big shout out to you. And here we're looking to build even more BP, because remember that not only do we need to sustain the metal that we have as income that we need to be spending on this APHIS, but we're also going to be looking to reclaim the fusions that we've got and subsequently infuse that metal into the APHIS. So we need to overbuild our build power, at least in the beginning, and then the idea is that by the end, like once we get to like the 4th or the 5th APHIS, at that point, we are going to be, we'll basically be sitting at parity on where we should be. So here we go with the explosion coming in at 19 minutes. I always let people know that I'm blowing this up, just because if you don't, they're going to be like, what the hell was that explosion? Because yes, it is, it's quite loud, and people will pretty much hear it all over the map. So the reason why we do that is just because we reduce the health of the fusions, and it allows us to reclaim them a lot faster. So normally it would take, you know, maybe 7-8 seconds to reclaim a fusion. Now it's only going to take you 1 to 2 seconds to reclaim the fusion. So that's the thinking behind it. So another thing to note is that around the 20-minute mark, you're typically going to be seeing marauders. Now, where would we see marauders on this map? Where's the most likely spot we see it? Probably from the North Sea. And the reason why is because we've lost the North Sea. So one of the things that I'm constantly doing here is scanning the North Sea. I'm always looking up on my minimap just to check in on what is happening there and whether or not I see units coming out from blue. This is really important because that's the enemy eco. And it's basically our job to make sure that we do everything we can to stop him from having success. In the same way that we had success early, it's his obligation to an extent to have gotten sprinters out to try and deal with those platypus attacks that were coming in. So we need to very much make sure if he's putting out force, we need to be able to meet that force. That's the whole idea. So we're looking to scan up there. We do have a radar covering. We can see those green dots on there, but at the same time, we're just continuing scaling our economy for the moment. Well, we're having a good time here. We're enjoying ourselves. This is one of the less micro-intensive situations. You can see our allies pinging not good, and I'm saying I help. So we've got a couple of different ways that we can help, but normally from this position, once you've lost the sea like this and there's really no way to get back onto it, you're not taking this sea back unless you've got Titans. And to make Titans, you're going to need quite a few APHIS. Now, of course, there's other ways that we could potentially do it. We could look to go air, but then we're going to be... it's not a guarantee, right? Titans will be a guarantee that we'll be able to win that sea. So that's essentially it. So in the meantime, all we can really do is just make sure that we are prepping as much as we can for what we think is coming. Now, there hasn't been any missile ships, so almost certainly there's going to be a flagship. So that's why I'm telling allies we need to prep bubbles. We need to make sure that the bubbles are coming. So we're now going to look to put down our T3. We've got 5 APHISs up. We've spent all of our metal here. We're going to be looking to get out some Razorbacks just because it's about that timing that Mars should be coming through and they have one to see. And now if you look towards the north, you'll see a blue dot on the minimap. I don't know whether or not you caught that. There was a blue dot on the minimap. And it won't be, there it comes again. There it goes again. You can see it on the minimap up towards the north. Right there. Did you see it? You may not have seen it. Marauders, Inc. We know that they're Marauders. Why do we know that they're Marauders? We know they're Marauders because they're blue. What else is going to be in the sea that's blue at this timing? It's Marauders. Of course it's Marauders. So naturally, we know, okay, what does that mean? We need to get, number one, we need to get our commander down in position. He's a little bit low health, so we ask for our allies commander. That's the first thing. We've already told him to make his pit bulls, so he's all prepared for that. And then on top of that, we've also got our T3 that's going to be coming down here. So we've been very fortunate. So what's actually happened, I'll take you into the replay just to show you exactly what has happened. When his marauders were coming through this angle, he's unfortunately come up and the radar has copped him. So we've got a radar right here on the edge and it's managed to catch the marauders as they come right over here and they go from being submerged into actually being going back into the water. So they come out and then they go back in, and that's how we've spotted these marauders. So that's actually where the accusation comes from, because I actually saw the specs. The specs were like, oh, how did Drongo see that? So yeah, we'll make sure that we dive in a little bit and take a look after we've watched the defense, because the defense is pretty good. I'll say that right now. When we've got this much intel, right? That's the truth. It all just comes down to intel about preparing and knowing what you need to do. So we've asked for our allies commander. Now the most important thing that we want to do is we want to corral the Maras in towards our commander. That is so important for us to do. We don't care if we lose this commander, because if we do, we're just going to res him back up and he's going to be ready to go for the next battle. So the key here is that we just want to try and take as many marauders as we possibly can. 5 APHIS, pumping out these. Now keep in mind, while we've been making APHIS, our enemy's been making marauders. So it means that we've gotten ahead with regard to the economy. At the moment, we're sitting on those 5 APHIS. We're quite happy sitting on that. You're easily able to make T3 off 5 APHIS. So that is, we're in a pretty good spot here, because we know that those marauders are still coming. We've seen them, those little blue dots just streaming over. We don't know how many there are, but you do have diminishing returns when you're attacking from this angle with regard to marauders. Anywhere between 25 and 30 makes sense. Any more than that, probably not going to be as effective. Whereas if you're attacking the beach sea, definitely more marauders is absolutely welcome. You could do 50, you could do 100 marauders along that beach sea. It's so big and so broad, ready to attack. So yes, it's very nice. And at this point, we've got so much defense. You know what?
T3 unit detected.
We're going to start scaling. And so we fly out a couple of units over here. It's the seaplane. The seaplane sees the marauders, and now we know that they're coming 100%. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our battle mechs over towards the left, and hopefully what that's going to do is force the enemy eco player to move his marauders to the right. And when he does that, what we're going to do, if we can get it right, is we can get some D guns in. And of course, when that commander blows, he's going to take a whole bunch of marauders with him. And it works out to be about 30 marauders that came through, and we managed to shut it down with 4 units. So in the end, well, gosh, I just realized that's quite loud. Let me turn that down. I hope it hasn't been that loud all game. Gosh, I apologize in advance. I don't know what the volume was like, so yes, I apologize. It just got really, really loud when we were fighting. So now we can sort of go back and watch it again. What are we at? We're at 24:30 here. Meanwhile, in here we're at 24:50. So we're about 20 seconds behind. Let's speed it up just a little bit here, and now we're starting to look a little bit healthier, a little bit better. We can check in on the enemy eco and our eco. So we're sitting at 6 APHIS. Meanwhile, compared to the enemy, he's on 3 APHIS. So we're quite good. And you can see here, we've got Toji Fushiguro, who's saying, honestly, kind of odd how he pinged right on the Mara, but never saw them. But the truth is, we did actually see them. We saw them on the minimap multiple times, and I think we even came up here and saw the red. I think that's what happened. We came up, we saw the blue dot from the minimap. And that's essentially it. So, and you can see right squeeze saying probably the front vision. And yeah, we had vision. We had this radar right here, which gave us the coverage. And you can see Toji saying, I know it's not rocket science to know Mara's coming there at 20 minutes, but still odd. And I agree, right? Like, it's definitely not rocket science to know that marauders are coming there. 20-minute mark, you've lost that sea. Totally makes sense. If you see blue units in the ocean, it's Mars. And that's exactly it. I think the one piece of information that's missing here for Toji is he didn't know that we saw them. He didn't know that we got the blink of them on the minimap right there. And that's really what the key is at this timing, is to spot those out. So other than that, let's get back into it. We've done a little bit of a comparison back here. So the question is, where do we go from here? Well, we still need to retake the sea of the north. You can see Toji saying, I was watching because I was thinking, I bet they can see this. So let's jump back into the game though. We are, oh, where are we? Hold on. Did I press the right button? I think I pressed the wrong button. There we go. Now we're back in. Sorry, it's a bit confusing with these two because we're obviously running 2 simultaneous games. What do we got? We're 26:34 here, so yeah, a little bit behind on this one. That's okay. We'll sort it out. I feel like it's so soft right now. Let me have a look at these levels. Yeah, now the music is super duper soft. Now I need to turn it back up. Sorry, guys. The levels are going to be terrible here. So now that we've stopped the Maras, where do we go from here? Well, our goal is still that we want to try and win that sea in the north. We could try and look for a conversion through the south, but you're also risking quite a lot if you do that. There could be commanders that are going to be there ready to degun. So if we're thinking like maybe let's try and push 5 Titans through the south, definitely could do that. But if there's a commander or 2 that are down there, we'll get easily degunned. And as long as they're like spamming in ticks, making it difficult for the Titans, it will be very hard for us to take that. So one of the key things I like to do, once you get to around the 30-minute mark, is to start scaling our build power. Because one of the things that we need to do when we're doing firefighting is we need to make a lot, and I think this is probably one of the key things I've learned over the last couple of days, especially as we can see all of these air units coming through. When we're doing firefighting, especially from eco and looking to try and carry the game, we need to really rely on defenses. And the reason why is because we can't be everywhere at once, but we can put defenses everywhere to cover us. So what does that mean? That means making sure our allies are building, or starting to get a little bit loud again, isn't it? Making sure our allies are building the correct defenses in the right places, making sure we're building the right defenses as well. So in this situation, it means that we need to make sure there's enough anti-air coverage. We also want to make sure that there's no potential risk of any more attacks coming through here. So that's what we're going to be looking to do. Now, we also know there's going to be a flagship coming soon. So what we're looking to do is make sure we get a couple of bubbles up. We are playing with the shield rework, which definitely nerfs flags together with I was going to call them buzzsaws, apparently. Apologies. Your lol cannons, the Calamity. They were called buzzsaws back in TA. I'm sure you'd know. Anyway, so we're looking to once again hold the front and try and just keep these battle mechs up. They're quite potent, especially against the enemy T1. We're also got a number of marauders that you'll see just sitting in the pond at the moment, just minding their own business, just waiting for a rainy day. Once we've got the APM free to actually deal with it, that's essentially when we make the go. So we're looking to cover mid at the moment. You can see that we've got our T3 artillery that's coming out. We're also going to be covering up towards this north side, just making sure that any potential avenues for the enemy to win, we're ticking them off to make sure that we're covering them. So we're covering front, we're covering this north sea that has been lost, and now what we need to do is start covering air. And that's because we saw that there were multiple players going air, and they're going to come back. And when they come back, they're going to have a lot of air units. So we need to make sure that we have got air units to stop them, or we need to make sure that we've got defenses to stop them. So that is a little bit of foreshadowing about where we go from here. So what we're doing is I've got a whole bunch. I've got 3 aircraft plants back home. I've turned off factory guard, and we're right-clicking the T2 constructor, and we're telling the T2 constructor to go build everything, and it's automatically being guarded by those aircraft. So that's going to help it build things really quickly. So you can see we've taken these T2 mexes, or we've built these T2 mexes here at the front. We've got them up pretty quickly, and we've got quite a bit of things going on. Now, we've detected stealth units. We're looking for it right here. We've pinged them out. Our allies paused the game very, very quickly, and hopefully, I think we get through it pretty quickly right here. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. We're back. It was quite a bit of a pause as well. So we're at 30 minutes and 3 seconds here. Back in the game, we're synced up. We're synced up with the game at the moment. So that is good to know. So once again, we're looking to get those bubbles up over on this west side. We've got a lagger, or sorry, our guy towards the north is lagging. So we've just said it's okay. It's not a huge deal. Like I'm covering his angle. We'll be okay. We don't need to delay the game any longer. And he does eventually get taken here by Dokkan, who is our orange player. So definitely a bit higher rated. And our T3 is now coming up towards the front. A very powerful combination of units here. The Razorbacks will stop anything small, and of course the big T3 artillery will stop anything big. So that's essentially it. We've still got those Maras that are sitting in the pond, and we're continuing to add to it, because normally, this is getting a little bit late for Marauders, about 30 minutes, and normally people have prepped for it. Now, if we look at where the seas currently sit, we're not going to be getting anything through the North Sea. And the reason why is this. The enemy's got radars coverage that's going to be coming up to here. They will see your Marauders before they even get to the water. And once they get to the water, they will have sonar that will be covering them. So basically, the enemy gets a good 60 seconds to prepare for your Marauders. So you want to go where your enemy has got as little time to react as possible to those Marauders. So that's essentially the mindset. Now, where's the best place going to be? Well, it kind of looks like they're getting in the water over on that East Sea. So we want to try and find a potential pocket that we can attack into. There's 2 primary spots that we can go for. We could look to try and attack the same spot that they initially attacked us, or we could go up towards front. So that's going to be our goal. What we're doing is we're prepping a whole bunch of APHIS here. You can see we've got 4 APHIS under construction at the moment. And the reason why is we've got a lot of metal in the bank, and we're not going to have a lot of APM very, very soon, because what we're doing is we're getting all of these Marauders through. So the idea is we just want to drop down as many APHIS as we can, and just kind of let them go and just say, okay, we'll come back soon. The trouble, of course, is when you do that, you do run out of you have too much energy. You're not converting, basically. So that is something to be aware of. And now you can see we're going to drop this flak down. So this is incredibly important to have these flaks. I like groups of 4 just because obviously 4 times as many as 1. You could do just 1 dotted around here, but you're just going to have a lot more effectiveness. It feels like a really good number to just be able to control enemy air. So I am definitely a fan of this. And you can see we're just going to, once again, repeat that same action. Just put down the blueprint, and then once the blueprint is down, we'll move the we'll move the constructor up for the next APHIS. So just making sure that we are building all of these APHIS on different positions, just to make sure that we are spending our metal as effectively as we can. Well, not as effectively as we can, but as well as we can, because we've got quite a lot of them at the moment. So another thing to note is we've got butlers. Normally these butlers are going to be building defenses over on the east side, but we're kind of okay at the moment with regard to the east side. We've got units out there. We've got sonar coverage, so we'll be able to know if anything comes through. So we don't actually have to get them to do that. So instead, what we can use them for is to help out with a secondary base. So what I like to do is just get a nice little row of construction turrets like we've got right here. You put the butlers onto maneuver and repeat, and basically that's going to tell them, hey, I want you to go through into this circle here that I've made for you, and I want you to repeat that over and over again, and I want you to repair everything that you see in this circle. That's essentially what we're doing there. So they're going to build that up very, very quickly. We're just going to start spamming out some T1 just to try and help the front a little bit, give it a little bit of extra pressure, and of course we're going to put down our APHIS. Just making sure, because it can be very difficult. You can see we've probably done this this is probably the 3rd time here where we're just putting down the APHIS and just leaving them. Our Marauders are about to go in, so once again, you can see we're draining that metal. We're about 500, maybe 600 metal in debit per second, so that'll be very nice, and it allows us to pay all of our attention to the front. Now, we've invested quite a bit here, but this is still a a relatively small amount of resources in the scheme of things. It's only 30 marauders at 34 minutes, so this isn't a huge attack by any means, but the fact that we do it through the front, it was evidently undetected, at least until we got right there on the enemy. And of course, we spot out the APHIS. That's our goal. We want to try and hit advanced energy converters and APHIS. Those are the two big things if we can hit those. So what we're going to do is stand right next to the APHIS because the enemy's got nuke bombers. So if we can bait the nuke bomber to attack our troops that are standing right on the APHIS, well, I'm sure you can do the math here, ladies and gentlemen. It's 3, 2, 1. There she goes. Easy. Easy. Yep, that's it. You just stand next to the APHIS and the nuke bomber will do the rest for you. So that's essentially it. And now that we've done all of this behind, we're still sitting on a very low amount of metal, which is just absolutely perfect. The worst thing you can do is come back to your base and be like, oh my god, you know, you're wasting metal, not energy. I mean, we're overflowing the energy to our allies, and we'll get sorted on the energy converters eventually. But yes, at this stage though, we did, I think, a pretty decent job there. I don't know how many APHIS there was, maybe 2 or 3 APHIS, so definitely going to set that player behind. The other thing to note is, like, when a player loses a stack like that, especially to an allied nuke bomber, that's going to destroy his mental. He is going to be very upset about that for the rest of the game. And yeah, it really just hurt. It's a moral victory. Let's just put it that way. It is very much a moral victory for us. So we're going to try and put some anti-nukes down. It's about that timing, 35 minutes, where you're thinking maybe they'll try and over-nuke us. Like, if they build 5 or 6 nuke silos and just let them build up for a little bit. So we do have to be aware of that. And we're now going to start Titan production. As you can see, we've got plenty of APHIS here. We'll do a little checkup here. We're closing in on 36 minutes. You can see we're dropping down all of our bird shots, our flak. We've got them in all the good spots, and we'll throw down a couple of what were previously called intimidators that are now called, apologies. Let's dive into the game and see what they're called. We've got it down here. I think we're sorting it all out. Apologies. I got to make sure I get it right. The Basilisk. Of course, the Basilisk. So what are we at? We're at 36 minutes in the game, 36:15, so we can speed it up just a little bit here. Make sure that we are synced up somewhere in that region. That should be fine. So let's compare the two ecos and see how we're doing. We're at 72k. We are sitting on 21 APHIS, so a decent amount of APHIS at this stage of the game. Our enemy's definitely scaled quite well. He's on 18 APHIS, 66k. So he is well and truly keeping up with us. But I will say that there is one error to his base building. Can you identify what it is? The error is that he can't make more APHIS in this layout. There's no more space for him to build his base. And that's part of the reason why you're going to be so careful with how you lay out your base, and part of the reason why I'm such a big fan of this style, because basically it gives you the ability to just go up like this if you want to. Another thing that I like doing is just reclaiming these two lines right here. You reclaim them, you build APHISes there, you reclaim them, you build APHISes there. On this side, as you can see, you've got your T3 right here, any other auxiliary, I don't know if that's the right term, but any other factories that you need to build, maybe some T1 stuff, maybe a T2 vehicle lab can easily go in here, and of course we're going to add in more nanos eventually as well, but just really allows you that flexibility. Of course, he's going to have more centralized BP in a sense, because he's only going 4 wide, but generally this is I feel like this is probably going to be the optimal way to be building out those bases. Let me just close that one down. So let's check in and see. We've got quite a big attack that's coming through right now. Unfortunately, we've got our flak all in position, so we'll be keeping an eye out on them, and there's a huge amount of bombers that are back here. How many bombers are we talking? 74 bombers that are going to be coming through, and you can see they've got one man on their mind. They want to go for that back line, but of course, the heroes of the day, the bird shots that we prepared just a little bit earlier, we knew they'd be back, and look at the amount of cleaning up they do. Our ally has got absolutely no fighters, but it doesn't matter. You want to know why it doesn't matter? Because we got our bird shots, baby. And that's where it comes in. You can see one ally saying OP, another ally probably going to be saying OP as well, because these bird shots got a huge amount of kills. We can see right here, 73 kills on these ones. How many did we get on these ones? 68 on these ones. We've got a couple more that are going up over here. Doesn't look like these got any. Did we get any down here? We got 6 kills on these guys. So these guys single-handedly just saved us the game. And it's that right there is one of the great things about building defenses, is you don't have to be cognizant when they are actually active. You only have to be aware of them when you're building them. And that's it. And that's the real power of defenses when you want to try and carry a game, because you can't be everywhere at once. That's the reality. You can't be everywhere at once, but your defenses can. That's the key. Lol cannon now going to be coming up on the enemy side. We'll be making sure that we pay attention to that. I will say with the shield rework, it definitely feels like the lol cannon is nowhere near as good, just mainly because with the shield rework, what happens is when a bullet like this, a projectile like this hits the shield, it will evaporate on impact and it will be absorbed by the shield rather than bouncing off and taking a little bit of the shield with it. So essentially, it means that you can't hit the backline with the rag. Like if we look right here, it's coming up. He is going to be able to hit all the way back here. We've already got bubbles. Why do we already have bubbles? Well, we've got bubbles because there was a flag that came out. So we're already prepared. And once we see the rag is up, then we're just going to add even more bubbles in. And by the time our first bubbles are falling, our second bubbles or our second set of bubbles will be online. That's part of the reason why I think with the shield rework, it can be very difficult to justify going into something like a rag. I think it can be very good at managing things as we begin to make our way over towards the east side. Of course, we're looking to try and hit that back line as well. It will very much depend on what we see from them, though. Meanwhile, back towards this base, unfortunately, they Juno'd right on top of this, and there were some mines here. You remember that line of mines from before? It blew up all of these, all of the construction turrets and a couple of the advanced energy converters as well. Almost got the APHIS. Can you imagine if a Juno killed an APHIS? Like that way? Yeah, that'd be kind of wild. Meanwhile, there was another attack towards the north. We didn't even bother mentioning it just because, well, there's so much defense here. I think it was a couple of marauders. You can see degunning a flag is new. Did he degun a flag? He may have degunned a flag. That's hilarious. We can't see it, but yeah, that's pretty cool. So now the rag is up. The first thing I do when the rag is up is I check what the options are in the game just to make sure is it one or is it shield rework or not shield rework, because it can be hard to remember. But of course this is shield rework, so naturally we're going to be having a good time. Meanwhile, down towards the south, another key here is to avoid overextension. So let's ride back on board with our POV. Let's get this going because we have got our big boys, our Titans that are making their way through. So what's our goal here? Our goal is that we don't want to lose a single Titan. Now, as soon as we come up against any resistance, we need to make sure that we back out. And the reason why is quite simple. We don't want to feed these Titans. We need to make sure that we keep them alive because they are going to be incredibly important to keep in our possession, because if we feed them, the enemy builds their own Titans, then they res our Titans, and now they've got a huge amount of Titans, much more than us. So what we're looking to do here, pick off the APHIS. That's it. Once we've got the APHIS, we're good. Now, we're going to try and push it a little bit until we run into any further resistance. As soon as we see the Titan, the thing about Titans is if there's one Titan, there's going to be more Titans, and so naturally it means you just want to get out. And look, we've killed one player, so we're pretty happy with how things have gone here. Another thing to note is as the game goes longer, you're more and more likely to reach the unit cap. So what we've actually done is, if I switch over to our game, is I've handed over these bot labs to my ally. And what I've done by doing that is I've also put the construction turrets on roam. So their default setting is not roam. Their default setting is maneuver. That will allow them to repair allied units, but it won't allow them to build allied units unless you tell them. When you put them to roam, it's going to allow them to build ally units no matter what. They don't care. They will just do it. And so because of that, what it does is it allows me to essentially cover the front with my units, except they're just in somebody else's name. And that way I can stay within the unit cap without having to worry too much. You can see here at the moment, we're about 300 units away from the unit cap. So something that we do need to be very aware of as the game goes on longer. So let's dive back in to this recording here. We're back on the recording itself, not in the game. And one of the things that I'm becoming aware of is the fact that we're kind of... I'm a little bit scared about air at this stage, so we want to throw down a couple more labs, just mainly because we want to get fighters out. Fighters are great just because they obviously allow you to go on the offensive as well, so their defense and their offense. When we put those bird shots down, they're wonderful for defense, but you can't pick them up and move them and put them in the enemy base, unfortunately. Doesn't work like that, but you can do that with fighters, so that's the key difference. So you definitely want to look for a combination of both. So here, we're looking to rotate our Titans around. We've done enough work over on that east side. We've managed to pick off one player. There's definitely an argument that we could have tried to go further, but as I said, if we do fail by pushing those Titans all the way up towards Eco, he's just going to res 5 Titans. He's going to make 5 Titans, and he had 5 Titans to begin with. Now he's got 15, and we're behind on the Titan number, and that makes it very hard for us. So we got enough. We got what we came for, and from there, we can very easily look to leverage our next potential avenue for victory. So we're going to try and push up on that North Sea. Of course, we mentioned earlier the fact that you're not really able to do much about it. If you're completely kicked off like this, it's very hard to get back on the sea unless you've got like cooperation from air, cooperation from pond, and GOCs also ready to get back on there as well. Then definitely you can do it. But in a lobby like this, where it's just kind of like you're essentially solo, you're trying your hardest to solo carry, very much it's hard to retake until you've actually got those Titans. Another key thing to note is that Titans will die to submarines. So one of the ways that you can mitigate that is through going for torpedo launchers, or I should say torpedo aircraft. That's the first way. And the second way is you can go into these units here, these lunkheads. I think they're called lunkheads. 99% sure they're called lunkheads. They weren't in the original TA, so don't worry. I don't have the original name seared into my brain like all the other units. And they have sonar on board, and they also have the ability to target those units that are underwater. So they're quite nice to have. And I think also further to that, they are immune from the units that are underwater. So that's another really good thing. So we're overflowing quite a bit of metal at this stage. So the trouble that you've got is you've got a whole bunch of energy, and you're not converting the energy into metal, so you have to make advanced energy converters. But then when you do that, they don't cost a whole lot of metal to actually make, and because of that, you stop spending all your metal because you're not making APHIS anymore. So that's essentially the trap that we've kind of fallen into here, where we didn't really build our BP high enough. Here you can see we're kind of lagging the game a little bit, probably not the right move. But the reason why is quite simple. We just want to make sure that we get all of those construction turrets built as quickly as we possibly can. And now with 15 Titans headed towards the north, I think games can probably be ended a little bit sooner than what I'm ending them. I will just say that right now. I have a very safe style of play where it's almost methodical, similar to like a chess game. If you imagine like the end of a chess game when you're just down to like a king against a king with a pawn, right? Like it is a very methodical game where or I probably shouldn't use a pawn. Like let's say with like a, not even with like a rook. Let's say with like with a bishop. It becomes very, very specific, like the very final moves that you need to make sure that you don't force a draw, to make sure that you are going to be able to win the game. That's the kind of way. That's probably not the right analogy or the right way that I've said it, but anyway, that's essentially the point. I feel like we've got a whole checklist that we can go through, and as long as we're able to check those boxes off and make sure everything's okay and everything's safe, we're able to carry all sides of the game and able to continue going. So you can see we've run into quite a bit of Titans out here. We've already lost a couple of our own Titans, so it's a losing battle, especially because there's a rag on the other side. So one of the things that we can do is we can just go around the rag. So it's going to take a little bit longer for us to do, but it's definitely going to be worthwhile. So that's going to be our game plan, at least heading out of this stage. So when it comes to economies, we're doing pretty well. We're sitting at 101 energy, 1.4k metal coming through. Though it is going up and down, I will say that right now. It's probably because of reclaim. We're sitting, anywhere between 900 and 1.2k. So our economy is quite good. We're definitely the backbone of our team's economy. But our other players on the team are all scaling relatively well, right? Like Jackie Boy's doing good. He's got 43k with regard to his energy income. Doken's on 15 or 16k. Kamikaze is on 20k. So everyone's definitely pulling their part in this game. And that's, I guess, one of the very fortunate things is it can be lovely having teammates that know what they're doing. I can definitely say that much. Okay, well, as we head towards the end of the game here, I think it might be a good idea. Let's just jump back into the actual game itself. You can see that we've got a command coming through from our ally. Give me fighters. And that's because Jackie Boy is intent on going for a big attack. So at the moment, Jackie Boy is sitting at 1,100 units here. We're right on board with him. And see what his plan is. He's got a whole bunch of dragons and a whole bunch of bombers that he is prepared. And a lot of fighters. We've just handed over a huge portion to him. So still sitting at that 1,100 units. Let's make sure we turn on that line of sight, get it down properly. He's got a whole bunch of scout planes up here as well. Look at this. He's able to spot out absolutely everything. Sees the enemy air. Now, one of the things I love to do is I love to always keep my fighters at like the back over here and then utilize my pork initially, if I can, and then use the fighters. But I don't know whether or not the enemy will go for that option today, as there's quite a bit... Oh my god, all those bombers stacked up on top of each other, because there's quite a bit of economy that's out here. He spots the APHIS once again, but I don't think he's going for the front line. It looks like he's going to be going for the back. They're all stacked on top. He definitely doesn't have that many left. He's down to 14, 12, 10. This looks like it's almost certainly going to be dead. And he tries to get through to the back line. He does it. He does it. Now, you don't hear the sound, and that's because we've got the sound coming through from the video. So yeah, you don't get it. You don't get the sound, but you can see Afusi in the chat saying, "Imagine having a team, GG." Well, yes, I will say that right now, Afusi. It was our team was very, very good today. But yeah, no explosion sounds, and now we've got more coming through. These are purple bombers. Wait, why are the purple bombers? Purple bombers, you're going the wrong way, and a whole lot of gunships as well. But yes, unfortunate there for our opponent. We can actually, let's Alt-Tab, pause this, and then we can use the sound from here. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so in the end, I mean, it worked out relatively well. You can see us reclaiming the lab right here. I don't know why we're reclaiming our T3 lab. Oh, that's right, because we're planning to go like full air at this stage. And just try and convert. But of course, at this point, I mean, their eco has been killed. That was a huge stack. I honestly can't believe that managed to hit. I don't know how many he was on, how many bombers he was on, but it looked like he was on about 3 to 4 bombers. Now, you want to know the thing, the funny thing? Maybe the funny thing, the sad thing? I'm pretty sure, 99% sure, he was using ARM APHIS. Let me show you something cool. ARM APHIS, 7,900 health. Core APHIS, 9,400 health. Then the extra little bit of health could have been the difference between his base staying alive or dying. And that's part of the reason why it's so important that we build our APHIS stack with core constructors, because these APHIS are so much better than the ARM APHIS. They're more affordable for us to build on the energy front. They've got less or more health, and it just guarantees that in a situation like that, where how many bombers were there? I don't know. I did not think that was going to be successful when it was going in at all. Yet he was still able to do it. So very well played to our air player here today. But in the end, if we take a look at the statistics, we're sitting at 1.09, or sorry, he's sitting at 1.09, we're at 1.46. So we're quite a bit ahead of him on that medal front. With regard to APM, how are we doing? We're at 96, highest in the game. Yeah, 96, Afusi on 93. So he's very, very close to us. He did really well, honestly. I think at the end of the day, it might have just been a little bit of a team difference. We were also pretty annoying with our early game, so I was very happy with how it went. But in the end, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two. If you have, let me know down below. If you haven't, let me know down below, because that's also pretty important. Because I'm trying my best to teach, and you can see here with that one on the front going down, and our air player just reigning supreme over the isthmus today. It is just a matter of time until all commanders surrender to the power that is the red team. So, of course, able to do it. We have these guys marching. This is the other thing to note, is that when you've got this many Titans, you can just kind of walk them at the enemy base. It can be very difficult to stop them. Like, unless there's commanders, unless there's like pulsars that are set up, it can be very difficult to stop. So that's essentially it. So let's take a look at some graphs. The final graphs here at the end, we had a pretty good stack. So we produced the most resources. We were also the trader. How did we get the trader? I don't know how we got the trader. I don't know, but we'll take it. I would have thought the guy who nuke bombed his APHIS would have got the trader. So we were ahead pretty much the whole game. You can see about the 15-minute mark, maybe 20-minute mark is when we start to really pull ahead of Afusi. And that's because he decided to go for the marauders earlier. That's why I think it's so important that you just kind of delay going for marauders. I genuinely don't think they're that good. They're only good if you can get them through unscouted, and if you can get them through on the GOC, sorry, the Beach C. Otherwise, I just feel like they're really not that potent. In this circumstance, like where our C has won this and my option is here or here, I'm not going for a 20-minute marauder timing. You're just asking for pain. You're just asking for trouble. But yeah, in the end, that's what the graphs look like. That's how it went, and that is it. I'll catch you in the next one.